The opportunities are dwindling to a precious few to take the 7th train out to Citi Field to catch the Mets. Yesterday, the first day of autumn, and so the end of the season quickly upon us. Just 6 games to go, but plenty of baseball today at Citi Field, a day-night doubleheader. At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball today. The Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez and Ron Darling join me in just a moment as the Mets open a day-night doubleheader against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets come off a huge victory over the Cardinals 2 days ago that looks like it's put a pretty big crimp in the Cardinals' postseason plans. As for the Phillies, they've already clinched the National League East and home field throughout the postseason, but they've got a 6-game losing streak. And so, Keith, as the Phils approach the postseason, how do they best get themselves ready to go?
Well, they have been disappointing offensively this year. They're 9th in the league in hitting. They're 8th in home runs. That's a big drop for them. But I think the big thing for them is their clutch hitting. They are 14th in the National League with men left on base. They've had injuries this year. They've had the luxury of having the big lead, Gare, so you can rest your players. And I can only go back to my 86 season. You know, when you get down towards the end, and we had a whole September to rest, give me the day game off. But I wanted to play the last week of the season and get myself ready for the playoffs.
And they've had to try and get Ryan Howard and Hunter Pence, among others, more healthy as the postseason approaches. As for the pitchers, they've had their work condensed because of last night's rainout. Cole Hamels goes today. How do the pitchers get themselves ready?
Well, it's really an embarrassment of riches, isn't it, for the Philadelphia Phillies? They have so many talented pitchers on their roster. I think with starting pitching, though, really what you do is you just try to limit their pitches, only at 100 pitches or so, and you get them out of the ball game because you still want them out there getting their work. But even more importantly, your bullpen. How do you get them ready? I think you do it in a couple shifts. You have one shift on for one day, one shift on for the other day, so they each have their rest, and they can also work on some pitches maybe they struggled with all season long.
It'll be Cole Hamels pitching for the Phillies in Game 1 of the day-night doubleheader today, and of course, his first task is to figure out a way to beat the Mets.
Yeah, he really has. Since he's called them chokers, he's 3-10 against the Mets, but he's had a great season. 14 wins. If he wins today, 15 will be a tie, a career high.
And on the other side, R.A. Dickey, who was to have had 2 more starts because of last night's rainout, this will be his final start of the year.
Well, you're going to look at his record at the end of the year, and you're going to say to yourself, boy, it's a disappointment from last year. I say nay. I think he's had a wonderful season, and after he hurt his foot, he's been as good as any pitcher in baseball, ERA under 3, and his last few starts, last 5, he's 3-2, ERA 1.5.
So Dickey getting ready to face Hamels. A long day of baseball again set to get underway here at Citi Field. A day-night doubleheader. First game coming up on Pix 11. in engineering. By American Airlines. Travel to over 250 cities in 40 countries on American Airlines. On the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 MPG at ChevyOffers.com. By Subway, where winners eat. By your tri-state area Volkswagen dealers. Visit VWDealer.com. And by Verizon, switch to Fios, a network ahead. To learn more, visit Verizon.com/GetFios. Visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, T-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Mets.com shop. Keys to the game brought to you by Cadillac. Visit Cadillac.com to find a dealer near you.
Well, with R.A. Dickey, keep the quality starts coming. 11 in a row. That's tied with Javi Vasquez of the Florida Marlins. Harris stay hot in September. That series that he played not only in Atlanta but also in St. Louis was outstanding. And continue that success versus Cole Hamels, as we said. 3-10 in his career against the Mets. Even worse ERA here at Citi Field.
So it's the Mets and the Phils. R.A. Dickey getting ready for his last starting assignment of the year. See if he can keep the quality starts coming. First pitch coming up from Citi Field. Truth in engineering. Ryan Howard back in the lineup after missing the last 6 games. He's had a heel injury, had an injection on Monday, but he is playing today. Not in the lineup is Chase Utley, who has been struggling since being hit in the head a few weeks ago. And Hunter Pence also not in the lineup. He's been struggling with a knee problem, but he hopes to play in the second game today. Terry Collins carrying out the lineup card, and Pete Mackanin with the card for Charlie Manuel. And there's your umpiring team for the first game as the Mets and Phils get set to embark on a long day of baseball here at Citi Field.
John Hirschbeck behind the plate today. You know what that means? Swing the bat.
We like that.
Well, that'll work for R.A. Dickey. Well, Dickey's really been remarkable. We go back to the beginning of the season, the first 6 weeks. He struggled with his control, and his knuckleball didn't appear to be particularly lively in the cold weather, but since the weather warmed up and it's a nice humid day today, he has been borderline spectacular.
I will say he's been a pro's pro. He has, easily could have double figures in wins if he had any kind of offensive support. If you look at his last start, that's been really a microcosm of the entire year. 7 2/3, only gave up 1 earned run and took the loss. Class personified, Mr. R.A. Dickey.
Well, there's no question about that. In the walks right there, you can see his walks. He got off to a terrible start with his control, But now look at those numbers, 53 walks and 200-plus innings. That's outstanding.
And how about this young man?
Show me something. Throw a knuckleball.
You're asking an awful lot here.
Do we have any numbers on him?
Good data, baby. Good toss.
That's it.
And we'll take a look at the Mazda defense. Zoom, zoom, Garrett.
Well zoomed.
Thank you. Jason Bay, of course, out in left field. He's solid out there in left. Pridey gives you good defense in center field, of course, with Pagan out after taking that swing and hitting his head there. Still got the headaches. Harris in right field. Duda a little under the weather. And there's your Metropolitan left fielder, Jason Bay.
Nice to have Bay back in the lineup after missing the last 3 games because of a virus or a sinus infection, whatever it is. It's been really traveling through the clubhouse with great speed and doing a lot of damage along the way.
It was interesting. We saw John Hirschbeck behind the catcher, Nikias, getting a gauge on that knuckleball. Umpires will do that with any kind of pitcher. Mostly it's to gauge speed and break of the curveball. But here with the knuckleball pitcher, just trying to see, you know, how it's moving and how hard it's going. 2 more, RA says.
Well, that man has done a heck of a job with this ball club with all the injuries they've suffered this year and the positive attitude coming in, starting in spring training. And it's had to have been tough for him this last 6 weeks to keep a positive force in that clubhouse, and he has done that. That's Terry Collins, of course, the manager of the Mets.
Well, he was very outspoken after the last game the Mets played here about the way his team was playing. They had that 1-8 homestand, but you have to be pleased with the way the Mets responded during the road trip, playing 2 teams for whom those games meant everything. They beat the Braves 2 out of 3, and then after the bullpen let a couple get away in St. Louis, they had that remarkable comeback on Thursday.
A lesser team could have laid down in the 9th. They did not.
Jimmy Rollins will lead things off. The Phillies right now are really in a drought. Now, they haven't had a great offensive season overall, but particularly lately they've had trouble scoring runs, and Rollins takes the first pitch knuckleball for a strike, and Rollins is a part of that. He's 0 for his last 13, and the Phillies have scored just 12 runs during this 6-game losing streak. And in fact, go back a little further, their last 15 games, 13 of the 15, they've scored 3 runs or less. Now, that's against run-of-the-mill pitching. Now they're headed toward the postseason. And there's a call, strike 3. The very slow knuckleball by Dickey, dialing it back to 61 to get Rollins for the first out. You head for the postseason where you're going to face nothing but top-quality pitching. They've got to be concerned about their offense.
Yeah, they will. Now, they're certainly not going to face any knuckleballers in the postseason, but already R.A. Dickey changing speeds on the first hitter.
Well, it happened to the Phillies last year. They ran into that quality pitching staff of the Giants, who went on to win the World Series. The Giants, of course, eliminating them and really nullifying their offense. But there's other cases. Remember, you were mentioning earlier here the Yankees that had the terrible finish and wound up winning the World Series.
As Placido Polanco takes the fastball low and inside. Polanco at 281 on the year. He is still not 100%. Was on the disabled list last month with a sports hernia and is trying to play through that. And, the Phillies are an older team. They've got a lot of people who have suffered through injury woes this year, whether it was Utley with his knee early in the year or Howard lately with the heel. Polanco's had a couple of things to deal with. So the question is, as an older team and a banged-up team, can they regroup for that 3-week run to the World Series?
Well, they know how to win. They know how to play the game, and they've got grit. But the other teams that get there know how to play the game, too. You get rid of all this waste that's prevalent in the league, and you get down to the nitty-gritty with the top echelon teams.
Brass tacks, you're saying.
Here's the 2-2, and Polanco fouls off the knuckleball. I was just picturing a landfill somewhere. Didn't know quite where you were going with that.
Well, no further.
Dickey's put together 11 consecutive quality starts, and maybe never better than he was his last time out when he got involved in it. Just one of the most extraordinary pitcher's duels we've seen all year between R.A. and Tim Hudson in Atlanta last Saturday afternoon. Scoreless game to the bottom of the 8th, and finally the Braves scratched out a run on Chipper Jones' hit that got just past Dickey's glove. A 1-0 loss for R.A. But it really was emblematic of the way he's pitched for really the last 3.5 months. Out to right field. Harris got turned around, but he's there, and that's the second out. I mean, you go back the last 23 starts for Dickey, his earned run average is 2.75. I mean, that's right up among the league leaders.
And last year, when he could not get beat at home, 2-9 here at Citi Field this season.
And a losing record to go with that too. That sparkling ERA. Excuse me.
Here's Shane Victorino hitting third in the order. Victorino 0 for his last 18. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, guys, it's been a little turmoil. Think about it. Rollins started hitting third, Victorino first. Now they've switched as they're trying to find, or Charlie Manuel's trying to find the right trigger.
The slow knuckleball pulled foul. Well, of course, Chase Utley is normally their number 3 hitter, and it's a big decision that Charlie has to make going into the postseason whether to leave Utley in that 3 hole, as difficult a year as Utley has had.
Well, it leaves them exposed with Howard hitting cleanup, Garrett, with 2 left-handers, and Utley really looked bad at the plate. He struggled against the left-handers, so you know it was an unfortunate injury. That was the injury that hurt them the most, because really Utley is your classic 3-place hitter.
Ryan Sandberg. There's a swing and a miss, and Victorino down on strikes. So R.A. with a 1-2-3 opening inning, couple of strikeouts, off to a fast start on a Saturday afternoon. In engineering, Jose Reyes starts the day leading the National League batting race. Willie Harris, though, starts the day as the Mets' hottest hitter, at a great road trip to Atlanta, and particularly in St. Louis, where he got the game-winning hit Thursday after having a tremendous day at the plate and in the field on Wednesday. And the Mets will take on Cole Hamels, who they've already beaten twice this year.
27 years old when they won the World Championship in 08. He was the World Series MVP. He's been an all-star, 74 and 54 in his career.
And we'll take a look at the Philly defense, brought to you by Mazda. Dare I say, zoom.
Go zoom squared.
I think 72 errors right there. That leads the National League with least amount of errors. And the closest team to them are the Dodgers and the Braves with 82. So 10 less errors than anybody else in the National League.
Jose Reyes leading the National League in batting, 329. Ryan Braun also at 329, but Reyes is in front. He is at 329.48 and Braun at 329.09. But look out behind you, because Matt Kemp is moving up. Kemp is at 326, and Matt Kemp is making a serious run at the first National League Triple Crown in 74 years. Reyes hits one toward the middle of the diamond, and he's got a leadoff hit. And on an 0-2 pitch, Reyes just able to tap it past the mound, and he's got himself his 172nd hit of the year.
Well, change up and not a good enough pitch right there. 0-2 up in the strike zone.
That gets his average up to 331 or 33076 if you'd like to be precise.
You know, following that potential triple crown from Matt Kemp, he's tied with Pujols with 37 home runs. He's 6 ahead in the RBI, so he's got that, I think, pretty much locked up, although anything can happen. But he's been the hot hitter. He had
a night 2 nights ago against the Giants, 3 doubles and a home run. I mean, he is finishing extraordinarily hot.
Right. And the last guy to do it, in case you guys didn't know, not you two, but I know you guys know, Joe Medwick of the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1937. And they finished in a distant 4th place that year, the Cardinals. And you can see right there, we got that up on the board there, the 3 categories for Triple Crown, and it can be done.
And by the way, if you're wondering about him being tied in home runs, there is precedent for that. In 1967, which was the last time anybody had a Triple Crown, Carl Yastrzemski for the Red Sox won the Triple Crown, but finished tied in the home run category with Harmon Killebrew. So that was considered a Triple Crown, even though he didn't win all 3 titles outright. Ruben Tejada has been hot with the bat, hitting at .280 for the year. Had the game-tying hit in St. Louis on Thursday in the 9th inning.
I think it's important to note, too, when Medwick did win the MVP that year when he won the Triple Crown, hitting .374 with 31 home runs and 154 RBI. The Cardinals finished 14 games out of first place to the New York Giants, who won that year.
Reyes takes off. The throw by Ruiz is too late. So Jose, who's not been doing a lot of running since coming back from his most recent injury, gets a big jump on Hamels and steals his 37th of the year.
Well, too good a jump. Hamels threw over twice. It's always easier to steal off a left-hander than a right-hander. Sometimes you can take a chance. And when you guess right and you go, once the left-hander breaks from the belt, there's no one going to throw you out, particularly when you have the speed of Jose Reyes.
22 steals against Hamels this year in 27 tries. And now Tejada drops down a bunt. It'll be tough to get him. Ruiz with the whirling throw and gets the out at first. Nice play by Ruiz on a good bunt by Tejada. 2-3. He'll get credit for a sacrifice and move Reyes over to third.
Now, I know that I do believe that Tejada did this on his own. I don't think Collins put it on. I want him swinging the bat. It's early in the game. He's been playing. He's been doing well offensively. He goes the other way naturally. Swing the bat.
How are you going to learn to get a guy over or get a guy in without trying it?
And the thing about Tejada, I mean, clearly he was bunting for a hit. I mean, you can tell by the way he laid that down, but he's just not fast enough unless, you know, he bunts it perfectly along the line and you got the third baseman playing back. So now Reyes at third with 1 out, and David Wright, who has really been struggling with the bat, will try and get him in. David just 11 hits in his last 69 at bats. Most recently, an 0-for-5 performance in St. Louis on Thursday, including a strikeout in the 9th inning when the Mets were staging that 6-run rally.
You know, that play by Tejada, if the scorekeepers used more discretion, they could eliminate that play from baseball.
That's true.
So what you're saying is, if you use your eyes and see that he's bunting for a hit, not intending to sacrifice,
give an AB.
AB.
So you're saying that guys wouldn't do that?
They absolutely wouldn't do it.
Jason Bay waiting on deck. Reyes with the dance step to get out of the way. 2-1.
And that's something David's been doing quite a bit of lately, really pulling the ball foul. And Reyes here, you always got to pay attention. Dance. Feel like a Western movie, right? When they get the pistols.
I know, baseball version of Limbo, maybe there.
I was thinking David Bowie.
Oh, nice.
Let's dance. Hamels facing the Mets for the 4th time this year. He beat them here in late May, but the other 2 starts, the Mets not only beat him, but they beat him up. Outside, and Wright's aboard with a walk, so the Mets have first and third with Jason Bay coming up. The first time the Mets faced Hamels this year in Philadelphia, first week of the season, 6 runs and 7 hits over 2 2/3. And the last time they faced him here in mid-July, 7 runs and 8 hits over 4 1/3. So it wasn't like he was losing 2-1 games.
Hamels just had a terrific first half, 11-4 with a 2.32 earned run average in 19 starts. His second half, 3-5 with a 3.65.
So here is Bay, who had been swinging the bat very well before he got felled by illness and missed the entire series in St. Louis. Hamels now 27 years old, 74 lifetime wins, 54 losses. Bay's done well against him, 4 hits and 9 at bats. And he misses inside, 2-0.
It's a classic case for Hamels in the first inning. No command of his fastball to either side of the plate. Left with nothing else.
Nick Evans hitting 5th in the order, waiting on deck. Bay hits one off the glove of Hamels, but deflects right to Rollins, and he turns the double play to get the Phillies through the inning. 1-6-6-3 on the double play, and gets Hamels through the first with no score at Citi Field. Phillies with the Mr. Met Dash for all kids 12 and under, presented by Stonyfield Farm. For tickets, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Ryan Howard leads off the second inning for the Phillies. Howard has missed the last 6 games. He's got a problem with his heel, and he got a cortisone shot earlier this week. Phillies clearly need a healthy Ryan Howard in their lineup to have an intact offense going into the postseason. 33 homers, 113 RBIs for Howard, second to Matt Kemp in RBIs.
It's another hitter when I look at that would be vulnerable for R.A. Dickey because he has a slight uppercut, and that seems to work very well against the knuckleball.
Howard 2 for 9 against Dickey. It'll be Howard, then Raul Ibanez and John Mayberry for the Phillies here in the second.
To me, Howard is the one guy in the lineup that really matches up well with Dickey, as far as it can beat you with long ball, because you can't pitch him inside and upstairs. And, Dickey doesn't have the 95-mile-an-hour stuff to get inside. He can throw that hard one up and in. But he's going to rely on that 77, 82-mile-an-hour knuckleball. And if Howard can square it up, he'll hit it a long way.
takes that one a little low on a full count to Howard. That's of that full infield shift on against Ryan Howard. David Wright almost to second base.
Although Pridey's left of second base, playing him the opposite way in the outfield.
And he hits it the opposite way in the outfield. Jason Bay steadies as he goes. One away. So Howard retired, 1 out and nobody on. And now Raul Ibanez, a guy who has given Dickey trouble. He has 3 career home runs in just 22 at-bats against RA. But Ibanez slumping right now like most of the Phillies, just 6 for his last 34.
And you got to wonder, I just wondered if Ibanez will be back next year. I don't think so. They've got those 2 young corner outfielders, and John Mayberry Jr. and Dominic Brown, who Mayberry has been impressive this year with 15 home runs. There he is, the son of John Mayberry, the former first baseman for the Kansas City Royals.
Ibanez drives one to center, and Pridey's there to grab it. 2 out. Well, Mayberry's been swinging the bat very well. Dominic Brown, on the other hand, has been a big disappointment this season. He's back with him as a September call-up, but was sent down because he just wasn't hitting enough.
Well, that can happen for young players. You know, they get their first shot. It works out pretty well, which it did 2 seasons ago. You get your next real shot, and he's gone a step backwards. But I don't know. When you watch him play, the talent's certainly there.
Yeah. And the other piece, of course, for the Phillies with the acquisition of Hunter Pence, that gives them an answer at 1 corner outfield spot for the next couple of years.
Well, Pence was a terrific pickup for them, for the Phillies, no question. That solidifies that right field area for quite some time for them. They got Victorino in center, so they're really looking at 1 corner outfield position.
And Mayberry looks like he's the guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you never know how that can work. You know, a guy can have a good year. You got to put him back to back. You know, or Hayward with Atlanta. That's where he's had shoulder problems. He's had a tough year. After I felt he should have been Rookie of the Year last year. I know you guys are in disagreement, but I felt that he was there longer and should have won the National League Rookie of the Year.
Hey, I thought Johnny Venters should have been the Rookie of the Year last year.
I'll stay with Buster Posey.
Here's the 1-2 from Dickey. And the fastball got him. R.A. blows one past John Mayberry for his 3rd strikeout. So 6 up and 6 down for Dickey to start the afternoon. No score at Citi Field as we go to the bottom of the 2nd in the opener of our day nighter. Three or 4 starts. Done a nice job with R.A.
Well, you see Nicky has a little smile on his face as he talks to Dickey, probably saying, "You got the good one today, brother. Keep it coming."
Talk about sneaking that fastball by Mayberry for a third strike. A little different design plan for Dickey. Here's Nick Evans. Went 1 for 12 in the St. Louis series, hitting at .253. He's at 150 at bats now. His most significant stretch of playing time since he first appeared for the Mets 3 years ago. And I think it's given Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson a little bit of a look at what Evans is capable of doing. I don't think he's looked upon as a starting player, but certainly will get a lot of consideration next year for being a prime bench player for this team.
And he's given a lot of people around the league a look, too, at what he can do. Power that he's shown, ability to hit the right field.
Willie Harris on deck, then Mike Nicky is here in the home second. And Evans pops one up. Easy for Howard. One away. That's upcoming schedule brought to you by American Airlines, and that's all that's left, folks. Another game tonight. 2 o'clock tomorrow. That game pushed back an hour because of the day-nighter today. And then the 3 with the Reds, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon.
I was just going to ask.
It's golf season.
I was just going to ask, what about the 29th, 30th, 1st, and 2nd? I forgot. The season's going to be over.
Yeah.
You can have tea time at Shinnecock on the 29th.
I thought there was a mistake in the truck.
Willie Harris up with 1 out. Well, Harris is certainly finishing his first season as a Met very strong. Hitting .368 over his last 25 games and probably had as good a series as he's had all year in St. Louis. And his hit that won that game for the Mets on Thursday seemed to have knocked all the life out of the St. Louis Cardinals. They were on the verge of being 1 game back in the wild card. Lost that horrible, I mean for them, just a horrible game on Thursday. And then last night they sleptwalked through 9 innings against the Cubs and got beat 5-1.
Well, the Cubs have had their number this year, and that's always a rivalry. Ball 4 to Willie Harris, who drew up a walk in that game in St. Louis that they blew, the final game of that series.
Well, last night, Alfonso Soriano hit the 3-run homer in the 8th that won it for Chicago and knocked the Cardinals 3 games back. So Atlanta's magic number for clinching the wild card is 3. Atlanta's playing in Washington right now, no score in the second, and the Cubs have gotten the jump on the Cardinals again this afternoon. They're up 1-0 in the second. Here's Mike Nickius with 1 out and 1 on, and he takes a strike.
It's interesting in the post-game press conference. Tony La Russa said, if you think our heart is broken, you're mistaken. Well, he might have been mistaken in judging his team, because that was as bad a loss as a team can take.
Well, I'll tell you something else that happened in that post-game. As Nickius pops one up down the right side near the short fence. And Howard sliding makes the over-the-shoulder catch and then rams into that fence. Harris tags and goes to second. Well, Howard's been battling a heel injury and he appears to be okay, but he hit that advertising sign pretty hard after making the grab.
Well, nice play, and as a manager you just cringe and hope he doesn't get hurt. You're a cleanup hitter a week from playoffs.
You know, nice there, Keith, in between those signs, how well padded it was.
Yep.
His knee went right into that padding. Braced himself a little with that glove.
I was more worried about his foot.
Nice hustle.
Jamming in there.
Nice hustle. Nice base running by Harris.
So 2 out Harris now at second. Jason Pridey getting the start in center field after Angel Pagan whacked himself in the back of the head on Thursday. Angel told me he would play the entire game after that with a headache and couldn't sleep that night, so the Mets were certainly concerned enough to send him to the doctor yesterday. So they have, 2 starting outfielders right now with headaches. They haven't diagnosed either Pagan or Duda with a concussion, but enough to keep them both out of the lineup. Friday takes a curveball high. So anyway, in that post game on Thursday, La Russa was grilled about his use of his bullpen in that 9th inning, and particularly the fact that he had used guys who had been used extensively over the previous week and 2 weeks in a way that the St. Louis media does not generally question Tony La Russa.
Yeah, I think what has happened to Tony is that he's not fallen in love, but he's had 4 of his guys have performed pretty well, so he's been staying with them. But sometimes in a game like that, a 6-2 game where it looked like it was over, you might want to take a chance with someone else, getting them some work, and he just did not, for whatever reason, feel that he could do that.
So he went to Mott, who had been pitching every day. In fact, had gotten a 4-out save the day before. He went to Zevchinski, who'd been pitching every day. And then he went to Salas, who I think had thrown 9 games in the last 2 weeks. And he gave up the 2 big hits to Tejada and Harris. Friday down on strikes to end the inning. First strikeout for Hamels. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Boardwalk Empire. Premieres tomorrow night at 9 only on HBO. Said earlier today that R.A. might pitch out of the bullpen at some point the last game or two.
He also said Mike Belfry, who's starting on Sunday, could be a guy that they would go to on Wednesday if they would need some extra pitching.
Plan is for Belfry to go tomorrow, and then Chris Schwinden, Chris Capuano, and Miguel Batista start the 3 games against the Reds to close out the season. Carlos Ruiz leads off in the second. Ruiz hitting at .283, .372 on base percentage, and he takes a strike. Ruiz, then Wilson Valdez and Cole Hamels bat for the Phillies in the third.
Boy, he's got a good one. It is just the bottom's dropping out right now.
Little tapper, and Dickey with an easy play gets the slow-footed Ruiz for the first out. Really, the quality knuckleball for Dickey has been the norm over these last couple of months.
And you know, on that Saturday in Atlanta, very humid, not as humid as usual in Atlanta, but very humid today. And those are just great conditions for the knuckleball.
There's Wilson Valdez, who used to play for the Mets and has done a lot of damage against the Mets this season, hitting .370 against Mets pitching. Playing second base today as Utley sits out. And Valdez takes the knuckler for a strike that handcuffed Nickius. That's how much that ball is moving today. And the slow one, and he's thrown 3 or 4 of those already. Dialing it back to the low 60s. Right in on the hands of Valdez. Dickey skips out of the way and Wright throws him out. 2 out. R.A. was really feeling his oats, by the way, coming off the mound for that ball.
Well, he's such a good fielder, and he covers so much ground. Sometimes not to a fault, but sometimes you have to get out of the way. Let the, as I always say, the athletes make the play.
Well, also you got Wright going in the right direction and Dickey
right.
going in the wrong direction. Makes much more sense for David to make that play.
Dickey just feeling his oats today.
Yeah.
He got a good night's sleep, I'm sure.
Well, also, you know, last night's rainout means that he knows this is his last start.
Yeah,
so
it's honestly a special start, Gary. You're right. You just if you have a great season going, you want to add to it. If you have a poor season going, you want to end on a real positive note. I always remember that day David Cohn struck out, what was it? 19 batters in Philadelphia in a game that didn't mean anything. The Mets were going nowhere, and it was his last start, and he wanted to put a capper on the season.
Well, he also had a rough night the night before.
Yes, he did. That wasn't the first time he had to pitch the night before.
Well, I mean, he spent the night in jail the night before, and then went out there and struck out 19.
That's why I still think it's the greatest game ever pitched.
Almost fouls one away.
That was in what, 91?
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I was so happy when I read about that I wasn't there on the team at the time.
Did you think you might have been there?
Because I had nothing to do with it.
You were blameless for a change. 3-2 now to Hamels. Hamels has 11 hits this year. He's no automatic out. So Dickey, who has not yet allowed a base runner, goes 3-2 on the opposing pitcher. And he throws the fastball, and Dickey gets the ground ball to Reyes for the third out. So 3 perfect innings for R.A. Dickey to start the afternoon, and he'll lead off in the bottom of the third with no score. Now at the Liberty Science Center in Jersey City, brought to you by Suzuki Automotive. Now that is a mixed message right there.
Not even a mixed message.
A Philadelphia fanatic doll in a Mets jersey.
That's wrong on so many levels.
And a Met fan.
A Met fan in a brown shirt.
Never seen a brown Mets jersey.
Odd. San Diego shades of the Padres.
That was really odd.
Cleveland Browns.
That's what it looked like. It was Cleveland Browns colors in a Mets jersey.
Or the St. Louis Browns, really. They were that ugly brown. Remember that? Oof.
I don't. I was not alive then.
Oh, I saw 5 photographs.
All right, Dickey has to vacate as Hamels threw one at his feet. Not very sporting.
Oh.
Jose Reyes, who had a base hit his first time up and now has a 2-point lead in the National League batting race, waiting on deck. 1-2 to Dickey, who has 8 hits this year. Hamels gave up a leadoff hit in the first inning, a 1-out walk in the second. And he gets Dickey on strikes for the first out in the third. Second strikeout for Hamels, who started the day 10th in the National League in strikeouts, averaging a little over 8 strikeouts per 9 innings.
see those numbers. You know what's interesting about Hamels, Gary and Keith? When he first came up, you would see at least 25, 30 curveballs during this game. He only throws fastballs, changeups, cutters in, occasional hook.
Well, here's Reyes, who takes it wide for ball one. You saw there Hamels #1 in the league in whip, walks and hits per innings pitch. If you're under a 1, that's extraordinary.
Exactly.
Anything 1.2 or less is considered really good. There's a strike to Reyes, 1-1. Jose singled to center field his first time up. He's now at 331 for the year. Ryan Braun at 329 is second. Matt Kemp 326 is third. The likelihood is that Reyes will only play one game today. That he'll sit the night game and then play the day game tomorrow.
I thought you said John Hirschbeck had a big strike zone, Ron.
He did till today.
Jeez.
He's got a potential batting champ at the plate. Come on.
Oh, is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah.
Like Ted Williams, you never call a strike on Ted Williams?
Well, the Mets have never had a batting champ. Maybe John knows that. Two from Hamels. And Reyes down on strikes. Good changeup by Hamels to get him. So that's 3 straight strikeouts for Hamels. And 2 out in the third.
They'll all set up with the hard stuff and then pulls the chain here. Excellent change.
So here's Tejada with 2 out and nobody on. So Reyes is now at 330, 1 point ahead with his 1 for 2 today.
Give me the full call, Gary. I'm putting the full call down.
Reyes at 33013.
Okay.
Five decimal places enough, right?
We hope.
I mean, we don't have to do it like pi.
No, exactly.
Tejada lifts one out to left, and Ibanez has it measured, and that retires the side. So Hamels has his first 1-2-3 inning. Dickey back to the mound in a scoreless game as we head to the 4th at Citi Field. Goes into play first base. Willie Harris moves from right field to left field, and Nick Evans moves from first base to right field. So Bay, who missed 3 games because of illness, plays 3 innings today, takes 1 at bat, hits into a double play, and is now out of the game. And so Terry now without his entire starting outfield. Duda and Pagan both with headaches, and Bay obviously continuing to feel the effects of the illness that had felled him for a few days.
And Terry was asked by one of the reporters today if it's a possibility that Lucas Duda could be done for the season, he said yes, it could be a possibility.
Well, it's been 3 days now since he hit his head against the fence chasing Pujols' double on Wednesday, and he's still having some headaches, so that's probably not a real good sign.
I wouldn't play him again. There's no reason. You know what he can do, and to play him, and if it's something like that happened again, you couldn't forget it or forgive yourself.
Well, certainly the Mets are being beyond cautious with anything that might have the potential of being a concussion. They've had so much experience the last few years. First with Ryan Church and then with Jason Bay.
It's leaked over into the NFL. I mean, they're more concerned about head injury. Before in our day, Ronnie, they didn't care.
NHL too, Keith.
Jimmy Rollins went down on strikes his first time up. And Dickey's knuckleball just moving all over the place. RA's retired the first 9. He struck out 3. And the slow knuckleball outside, 1 and 2. Boy, has he been able to change speeds today?
Change speeds, throw to different sides of the plate almost at will.
He's got slow, medium, and fast. There's the fast one inside, 2 and 2. It's almost like mild, hot, and 5 alarm.
There you go.
Cholula hot.
Little blooper, and Tejada there to spear it. 1 away. Well, here at Citi Field, they're in the habit of noting veterans during the game, but this is a very special veteran. Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer. He's the first living Marine to receive the Medal of Honor since 1973. Dakota Meyer disregarded orders and saved 36 lives in September of 2009. That is one very special Marine, and we're happy to honor him today. Placido Polanco flied out to right his first time up. And he rolls one out to Tejada. They're not making very good contact at all against Dickey. That's 11 up and 11 down for RA. 2 out in the 4th.
Oh, wouldn't it be ironic?
You shooting the clown now?
No, we usually let you do that.
Shane Victorino will step in. Well, we all have a part to play.
Yes, we do.
Victorino struck out his first time up, and the very slow one lofted down the left field line. Over comes Harris, disappearing from view, and he makes the catch to retire the side. So Dickey with 4 perfect innings under his belt. That's what's said about trying to get him a run as we go to the bottom of the 4th. As Harris helps him out, no score at Citi Field. Data Talk and Text. Yesterday, the Brewers, Diamondbacks, and Rangers all clinched their divisions. First time since 2006 that three teams had clinched on the same day. And that year, in 06, it was three teams clinching on the last day. The Twins, the Padres, and the Cardinals. As David Wright, first pitch swinging, lifts one out to right for John Mayberry. One pitch and one out. The last time before last night the three teams had clinched not on the final day was in 2003 when the Twins, Yankees, and A's all clinched on the same day. And I thought it was fun watching last night because the Brewers won before the Cardinals lost, so everybody stayed in the ballpark to watch. And the Rangers won before the Angels lost, so again everybody stayed in the ballpark in Texas to watch.
It's a really cool feeling because it's almost like the players are sharing it with the fans as they're watching it. But Mr. Braun, even if he finishes below Jose, what a hit he had last night's game. 3-run home run late to put that one away.
There's Josh Satin up for the first time. Took over for Bay, who was taken out of the game with continued effects of his illness that has been felling him all week. Line the other way, and Satin's got himself a base hit. So Josh Satin with a one-out single, the second hit in the game.
Usually in those clubhouse celebrations, you get pretty wet from the champagne as you watch this nice attempt by Satin. Not attempt, base hit the opposite way. You get pretty wet in those.
Now let me ask you guys, because you've both been through multiple champagne celebrations. This whole thing now with the plastic sheeting over the lockers and guys wearing goggles, does that take away from it a little bit?
Well, the plastic sheeting is just that's the clubhouse men. They're going to protect the gear. I don't know if we had it in our day, Ron. I forget.
I don't think you did.
But the goggles, I mean, the champagne burns.
Oh, come on.
But, that's part of it.
You're tough guys.
It's part of it.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
You got to man up.
And Nick Evans hits one to left center, and that'll drop between Victorino and Ibanez for a base hit. They both kind of stared at each other as the ball fell in, and Evans has a hit right behind Satin's hit.
I know that the big controversy. Go ahead, Keith, on this base hit.
Well, I think Victorino catches that ball, but it's any month but September, and they got it blocked.
That's a good call. The big controversy when the Mets clinched in '86, when Doc complete game and pandemonium, is that the Mets the day before had bought a lot of champagne, or a week before had bought a lot of champagne, and they had to send it back,
right?
Because it wasn't New York State champagne,
right?
So that was the big controversy.
Well, also you guys had to carry that champagne to Philadelphia,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
And same thing that happened with the Mets in '06, got swept on the road and then came back and won it at home.
It was in Pittsburgh, though, right?
Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Mike Nickius on deck. Willie Harris walked on 4 pitches his first time up. Mets had a scoring chance in the first inning, first and third and one out, couldn't convert. Now first and second and one out, and Harris takes a strike. Willie getting another start against a left-hander, which not necessarily a bad thing. He's hitting .393 against lefties in just 28 at bats. But he's never had a hit against Hamels, 0 for 6. Yeah, Braun, if you'll remember, when the Brewers clinched the wild card in 08, he hit the home run that won that game, and so he's had a knack for that dramatic home run and a clincher. Strike 3 call.
Ooh.
Harris gets the wide strike from John Hirschbeck, and that's the 4th strikeout for Hamels.
Well, I thought he thought it was away and down, Keith. Both.
It was borderline, more away, and I think it was down too. Too close on the corner to take, but I thought it was low. Oh well.
So 2 out and 2 on, and now Mike Nickius. Nickius hit that foul pop-up that Ryan Howard made the sliding catch on in the second.
You know, there's certain players, as you approach the postseason and you watch them all season long like we watch them, and you say to yourself, you know, this could really be this person's coming out party. Ryan Braun could be that player this postseason.
Oh, nice change.
Well, the Brewers had not won a division title since 1982. You remember 1982, Keith?
I feel like Maurice Chevalier. Yes, I do. I remember it well. Ooh la la.
I mean, they made the postseason as the wild card in 08, but they go in this year favored by a lot of people to at least get through the first round, because they not only have the big bats, they've got the pitching to compete.
And if you look at their pitching, or you can make the argument that they have the three guys that could try to stay up with the Phillies pitchers.
Here's the 1-2 to Nickius, and he bounces one down to third. Polanco takes it to the bag to end the inning. So the Mets leave 2. We're through 4. No score. Vehicles with the best-selling values in America. 12 up and 12 down for R.A. Dickey to start the day. No score as we go to the 5th, and Ryan Howard will lead off against Dickey. It'll be Howard, Ibanez, and Mayberry. Dickey has struck out 3 over the first 4 innings and has had every speed of knuckleball working well for him. That's again put on the full infield shift against Howard, with Tejada playing Rover out in right field. When Nickius is having that kind of problem catching the ball, it's a pretty good sign.
Boy, that's a lot of hardware, by the way. What I mean by that is trophies. A lot of trophies there for this young man.
Tries to hold, and he went around. 2-1. Plate umpire John Hirschbeck calling that one himself with no help. And that misses low and in, and Dickey behind in the count, 3-1.
There were so many umpires in the National League back in the 80s that you go, come on, ask for help. And they'd say, I don't need any help. It's a strike. Umpires today, they're automatic and asking for help.
Dickey staying with his bread and butter on 3-1. Boy. And the 3-2 knuckleball fouled off. Only Mike Schmidt has hit more home runs as a Philly than Ryan Howard. A lot more.
Now, the old Veterans Stadium where Mike Schmidt played, was it was a smaller ballpark at its time, but not like the current ballpark in Philadelphia. Mike Schmidt with that left center field fence. Oh my gosh. He'd have been a 40 plus every year.
Maybe 50 plus.
Yep.
8th pitch to Howard, and a check swing on the knuckleball.
And there's Mike, I think the greatest third baseman of all time. There might be some that disagree with me out there. Well, that's fine with me. That's
Not
my.
sure.
That's,
Who else is a candidate?
he's the best.
Popped up, right, the only man on that side of the infield. Back pedals to get it. One away. So Dickey wins a 9-pitch marathon and gets Howard on the pop-up. 1 out to start the 5th. Now Raul Ibanez, who's hit the ball harder than any Phillies so far today, lined out to center field his first time up. I think John Hirschbeck's getting into strike calling mode.
Yes, he is.
John Mayberry Jr. on deck.
Well, it really doesn't matter because you're still going to have a 7 o'clock game.
What doesn't matter?
Just all it means is there's more time to be in the umpire's room. What are you going to do there? Play cards?
You're overlooking one thing as Tejada throws out Ibanez for the second out. The umpire who works home plate in the first game gets the second game off.
Oh, John. He's the lucky man. He drew the ace.
Wally Bell will be the home plate umpire in game 2. He has the first game off.
I bet you he winds up at Smith and Walensky's at the cafe.
So Dickey's retired the first 14. Now John Mayberry steps in. Mayberry struck out his first time up.
Mayberry's like every hitter that came up, he threw a first pitch strike. I go to swing, and it's a first pitch ball. It's hard to get a read. You know, these guys that spend so much time trying to get a plan against the pitcher. There's really no plan against Dickey. Really have to go back to seeing it and try to hit it.
Little flare and foul ground. Satin over near the dugout, reaching, and he makes a nice catch. Josh Satin right up against the railing to end the top of the 5th. So now it's starting to get serious. Dickey with 5 perfect innings under his belt. Josh Satin helping out with an Ike Davis-like play. We're halfway through in game 1 of our day-nighter. No score. against the Steelers. Jason Pridey leads off for New York in the bottom of the 5th with no score. Pridey struck out his first time up. R.A. Dickey on deck, then Jose Reyes. And Pridey first pitch swinging, pops one up. Wilson Valdez out to call, called off by Victorino. 1 pitch and 1 out. It's New York's genuinely different newscast. If you like Jody Applegate on the Pix 11 News at 10, you're going to love her at 5. Watch the new Pix 11 News at 5 weekdays on Pix 11. Well, now Dickey, who struck out his first time up. And he takes a strike. Hamels has given up 3 hits. He's walked 2 and struck out 4. Dickey has yet to allow a base runner. And he hammers one down to third. Polanco backs up on it. 2 out. You know, Hamels is 3-10 lifetime against the Mets, and this year the Mets have roasted him a couple of times, but he's had a few of those 1-0 and 2-1 losses sprinkled in there too.
Remember when the Mets went through that part of the season last year where they threw what, 4 straight shutouts to the Phillies? Maybe 3 straight shutouts. It was.
You mean the goose egg sweep?
That's right.
Here's Reyes, 1 for 2 on the day, now hitting at .330, a point ahead of Ryan Braun for the National League lead. Reyes has singled to center and stolen a base and struck out. And Hamels falls behind him 2-0. And that just missed, 3-0. So if you're battling for a batting title, does that make you more likely to swing 3-0 or less?
I think less.
I would think it depends how hot you are, and also depends how the skipper gives you the hit sign.
Doesn't matter there because that missed badly for ball 4. So that's the 3rd walk given up by Hamels, and so Reyes, who stole a base in the first inning, just his 3rd since his most recent trip to the disabled list. Now on with 2 out. You'd think if he was willing to steal in the first, he'd certainly be willing to steal here with Tejada coming up. Terry Collins and Justin Turner in conversation. Reyes got a huge jump against Hamels the last time. Tejada has sacrificed and flied out 0 for 1. Reyes was not in running mode on that first pitch. You can just tell from the way he takes his lead when he has absolutely no intention of running.
He does not disguise it.
Like now. That's not running mode. Right-handed Rollins and the easy force play to end the inning. So we've got 5 scoreless innings under our belts here at Citi Field. The 5th inning brought to you by Ford. Check out the best-selling vehicles with the best-selling values in America. But the Mets have failed to score for him, so we go to the 6th inning scoreless. RA has struck out 3. The longest no-hit bid by a Met this season, Dylan G went 5 2/3 against Washington back in May before giving up a hit. Carlos Ruiz will lead off the 6th inning. Ruiz hit a comebacker his first time up. Ruiz, Valdez, and Hamels, the 3 scheduled hitters.
Oh,
that thing is just moving all over the place. He's had command of it. He's had movement on it. It has been the #1 knuckleball for RA today. And he gets ahead on Ruiz, 0-2.
Well, this is a little more like he threw last year in the sense of this. Just pumping strikes in there, one after another.
And facing a Phillies team that's been ice cold with the bats. I mean, the last 6 games, they've lost them all and scored only 12 runs in those 6 games. Just 37 runs in their last 15 games.
what is the official color of that Philly red? Is it red?
As opposed to?
Remember they used to have that kind of like that carnation color or something? Remember the old Philly uniforms were kind of a little more of a purple?
Like in the 80s?
Yes.
Yeah.
I never liked that color.
Unlike the City Field security guard uniforms?
Oh.
That color?
Oh.
3-2 now to Ruiz.
Lucky they didn't hit him.
Well, 3-2, 0-0 game. R.A. Dickey, usually see a fastball here.
Went 3-2 to Howard in the 5th and threw him knuckleballs. We'll see what he does here. It's the knuckleball, and Ruiz pops it up in foul ground. Nicky is coming back. There's not enough room between home plate and the backstop at Citi Field. It is a mere 45 feet.
So if they make changes in the ballpark around the fences to help the hitters, they'll definitely push it back there, right, to help the pitchers with some foul balls.
That's a pretty good joke you're telling now. Help the pitchers. Come on. Driven down the left field line right toward the corner. That ball is foul. Ruiz making a bid for a home run and just hooked it. It's the closest the Phillies have come to a hit yet.
Well, there's Charlie Manuel. What a nice tenure here with the Phillies.
8th pitch coming to Ruiz, and he fouls one off.
Remember when Charlie took this team over, they weren't sure if he was the right man for the job. Wasn't cosmopolitan enough in the Northeast and Philadelphia, and boy, I tell you what, he has just done a terrific job.
Outside and low, and Ruiz becomes the first Phillies base runner of the afternoon. So after 5 perfect innings, Dickey concedes a walk.
What's coming back?
No.
That was ball 4. Now the scoreboard said it was 2-2.
No, umpire's saying it's.
That was ball 4.
That was ball 4.
But the scoreboard had it wrong. The scoreboard said 2-2 and now says 3-2, and I think the scoreboard is wrong.
This is going to be very embarrassing for a home plate umpire. It's his job with the indicator to have the count.
And this is not the first time this has happened this year. This has happened 4 or 5 times in Major League games this year where the home plate umpire has had the wrong count. We had it happen in a game with the Mets earlier this season, and it's happened elsewhere as well. And Ruiz does get first base, so they finally got it right.
Boy, boy. Do umpires still have indicators, home plate umpires?
Yes, they do.
Well,
the problem is the scoreboard had it wrong. The scoreboard had it 2-2 on Ruiz when it was actually 3-2. And Terry Collins just making sure that the umpires got it right.
And one thing's for certain. Terry Collins knows because you got guys charting the game.
Yeah.
You know, they have the count on both dugouts.
So Dickey will have to work out of the stretch for the first time. Wilson Valdez the batter with the pitcher on deck, not likely to be bunting, and he slashes the fastball foul. Valdez grounded out to David Wright his first time up. Now there's Cole Hamels on deck. Now you might remember last year in August, R.A. Dickey threw a complete game 1-hitter against the Phillies, and Hamels had the only hit. Valdez hits it twice, and it's 0-2. Only counts for 1 strike.
Unless you're playing the U.S. Open golf, and it's a problem. T.C. Chen double hit the ball, cost him stroke. See ya.
But you have to call that on yourself.
You do.
And Valdez down swinging at the hard knuckleball. That's the 4th strikeout for Dickey, 1 out in the 6th.
Well, you see that grip, those nails dug into the seams, and total control of an uncontrollable pitch by R.A. Dickey today.
Now Hamels, you would figure most pitchers would be bunting here, but he's not a particularly good bunter. 11 hits, only 2 sacrifices this year. Wright playing in at 3rd. And he does show bunt and takes a strike. A fastball from Dickey. Dickey went 3-2 on Hamels first time up, threw him a fastball, got him to ground out to short.
Hit it hard too to shortstop Reyes.
And so here we are again in the 6th inning, a little over a year later. Dickey facing Hamels in the 6th, having not allowed a hit. But Hamels not trying to get a hit, trying to give himself up, and now it's 0-2. 2 fastballs in a row from Dickey. In Washington, the Nationals now lead the Braves 3-0 in the 4th. So some hope for the Cardinals, but they trail the Cubs 1-0 in the 5th. St. Louis 3 games behind. Almost ready to bunt the 3rd strike, but takes it high.
Got to be bunting here. 0-0 game. Trying to do anything he can to advance Ruiz.
Except he's not a good bunter.
Yeah, but
it's the only piece. But I guess you'd rather he strike out than hit into a double play.
Yes.
If you're Charlie Manuel. Jimmy Rollins waiting on deck.
Already such a good fielder that a poor bunt by Hamels, if he does get it down, he'd get a double play.
He got a slow runner at first in Ruiz. And he's running, and so he'll have to go to first with it. Well, on that kind of a bunt, you're right, Ronnie. If Ruiz isn't running, there's every chance that Dickey gets a play at second. And you see what R.A. just said. He said he was running? Just like that. He was incredulous.
Boy, taking off on that knuckleball, think it would be hard to throw him out.
So sacrifice goes 1-3. So this match is as deep as any Met has gone into a game this year without allowing a hit. Jimmy Rollins the batter, and he takes a knuckleball for a strike. Rollins took a call 3rd strike in the 1st and then hit a very soft line drive that Tejada speared in the 4th. Placido Polanco on deck. Ruiz at 2nd with 2 down, and it's low and inside to Rollins. And Rollins hits one deep to right. Evans got turned around, back near the track, reaching up, falling and making the catch. Nick Evans moved out to right field after Bay had to leave the game. Makes the stumbling grab to keep the no-hit bid intact. Evans hangs on. Dickey appreciative. No score at Citi Field. Warner Cable. Meet Tamsin, Dr. Steve, and the entire Pix 11 news team at the Time Warner Cable Lounge located in the Javits Center tomorrow from 11 to 5 during the Pix 11 Health and Wellness Expo. We're going to the bottom of the 6th inning at Citi Field. Quite a pitcher's duel developing between R.A. Dickey and Cole Hamels. Hamels has allowed 3 hits. Dickey has allowed none. That's allowed David Wright, Josh Satin, and Nick Evans coming up in the bottom of the 6th. Wright has walked and flied to right field. Hamels has spent a little time in August on the disabled list with some shoulder inflammation. Has come back strong late in the year. Although his last 2 starts, he's lost them both and not pitched great in either one. But he has certainly been sharp enough today. And you have to think there's at least some question, if you're Charlie Manuel, when you're setting your postseason rotation, as to where Hamels slots in.
Well, I think the first 2 slots are taken. Halliday and Lee, Lee and Halliday. It doesn't matter which way you go. But I don't know if you want 2 left-handers. I don't know if you want Lee and Hamels to go back-to-back. You might want to insert Oswalt in between the 2.
As Wright goes down on strikes. There's the first down in the bottom of the 6th. 5 strikeouts for Hamels. I think it's pretty clear now that Oswalt has that 4th slot. There was a lot of talk about whether Vance Worley had outflanked Oswalt. I think that Oswalt was always going to have it because of his experience, but Worley has, faded a little bit in September, and I think that has locked it up.
And Oswalt has proven he's healthy, or healthy enough, and he is a gamer, so you'll always want that guy on your postseason roster.
Here's Josh Satin, who singled to right field at his only at bat. Came in when Bay had to leave. Bay had missed a few days with illness and tried to play today, went 3 innings and then had to shut it down. Nick Evans, who had a base hit his last time up, on deck.
So really,
Satin takes a ball.
Sorry, Gary. Worley is going to take the role that Sid Fernandez took for us in the '86 World Series.
Yeah, if you have one guy go down early, he can come in the game.
Unless Game 2 of the doubleheader today, Joe Blanton is pitching for the Phillies.
Yeah, you forgot about
Blanton
Joe.
has already proved that he can be very successful as a postseason pitcher. Now, if he goes out and pitches 5 good innings today, you'd have to think he has a shot to be that long guy instead of Worley.
I got to think that Worley's pitched so good, he's earned a spot in that postseason roster, Ronnie, don't you feel?
Well, I think he's pitched unbelievable. But when you look at it, Blanton is coming back, and if he's 100%, you're talking about Blanton, who has experience, versus Worley, who's pitched more innings than he ever has.
Right, and who may have hit the wall in this season. And Blanton obviously was out for most of the year because of elbow problems, but in some ways that makes him the fresher pitcher.
He can also hit in the postseason.
Right, well, he hit a home run in a World Series game. Now, Hamels and Hirschbeck having a little long-distance conversation here.
Well, Hamels has felt all game long that he's being squeezed by Hirschbeck. He feels like he's thrown many more strikes.
Behind on Satin, 3-1, and Josh takes a strike.
There's no Achilles heel other than he can be a little temperamental on the mound, Cole Hamels, but I mean that's part of his competitive nature. So it makes him successful, too.
Satin hits one out to right center field, and Victorino easing over. 2 out. Well, the one thing I liked about Hamels just now, after he had that conversation with Hirschbeck, he went behind the mound, composed himself a little bit, and then came back.
And threw a couple strikes. And the problem for Cole, and this is a tough problem, is that the first 2 guys in that rotation, Halliday and Lee, you can't tell if they're winning 5-0 or losing 5-0. They just get the ball and throw it and execute. So anyone who's not as robotic as those 2 stands out.
Here's Nick Evans, 1 for 2 on the afternoon, and he gets tied up.
Well, if you recall when Kendrick pitched the last series here and mentioned that it's a big ballpark, you fall behind a hitter. I'm not afraid to throw a fastball for a strike. There he fell behind 3-1. 2 straight fastballs pumped right in there. It's a big ballpark.
Come back next year. See what happens.
That's true.
Maybe a different ballpark.
Maybe.
Are you going to have a say in the design, too?
Oh, I'll have no say.
Oh.
Well, what was interesting to me yesterday was Terry Collins was asked, with the fences being moved in, could you see a scenario with Murph in left, Bay in center, Duda in right? He said, I don't really see that.
Not buying that.
Even with the shorter fences. 2-2 to Evans, who made the terrific play in right field to keep Dickey's no-hit bid intact. It was not elegant, but it was effective. 2-2 from Hamels, low and inside.
Hamels has had trouble with his cutter to the right-handers most of the afternoon.
And Evans down on strikes. Good changeup to get him. Hamels has his 6th strikeout and his second 1-2-3 inning of the afternoon. Dickey back to the mound, having not allowed a hit. 7th inning coming up. Without free score. That's a big line score right there, especially with the totals at the end for R.A. Dickey as he heads to the 7th inning without having allowed a hit. The last Met to take a no-hitter into the 7th, you guys will remember this game. Mike Pelfrey against the Nationals, May 15th of 08. That's the game we broadcast from the upper deck at Shea Stadium.
Yeah, the upper tank. Day game.
Aaron Boone broke it up with a leadoff single in the 7th inning. John Maine, the last one to go into the 8th. That was the second to last day of the season in 07. And Seaver, the last to take one in the 9th. In fact, Seaver's the only Met pitcher to take a no-hitter into the 9th. He did it 3 times. The last time was 36 years ago today. Placido Polanco leading off in the 7th inning. Takes a strike, 1-1. Polanco has flied to right and bounced to second, 0 for 2.
Who's writing the script? Rod Serling? Man.
Shane Victorino on deck, then Ryan Howard. Dickey made a bid against the Phillies last year, and it was Hamels who broke it up in the 6th. He has transcended that roadblock. And the first time today that Dickey and Nickius have been of differing opinions about what to throw next.
A little slider. Wrong there. Sinker is a 3 call for R.A.
So now he's behind on Polanco, 3-1. Good movement on that, and it's 3-2. Polanco, a very tough man to strike out, second toughest in the league behind Reyes.
And that is a sinker, not a strike. Come at it again.
3-2. And Polanco hits it toward the middle. Reyes over, spins, fires low. Satin pulls it out. One away. Nice play by Reyes and a beautiful play by Satin, not known for his defense, making the pick.
Well, Jose gets a good jump on this ball once he gets to it. And a nice short hop for Satin right here, but the whole play was Reyes ranging to his left with the spin throw. Nicely done.
So 1 out in the 7th. Now Shane Victorino. Well, that's 2 straight batters for Dickey that he's gotten fine defensive help behind him. And the second nice play by Satin in this game. Remember, he caught that foul pop up by Mayberry back in the 5th. Ball and a strike to Victorino, who has struck out and fly to left. Ryan Howard on deck. And Victorino lines one down the left field line for the Phillies' first hit of the game. Played off the wall by Harris, and Victorino, who had been hitless in his last 20 at-bats, has a double. So Dickey goes 6 1/3. Longest no-hit bid by a Met this season.
Well, Victorino, a high ball hitter, right-handed, and that just stayed belt high, didn't do much.
Really the only bad knuckleball he's thrown all game.
Precisely.
So it winds up being a day like every other in Mets history. A day without a no-hitter. At least for this game. 7,963 games into Mets history. But there's another game today. Ryan Howard hits one through the shift and into right center. Victorino around third. He'll come home with the game's first run. Ryan Howard an RBI single. It's 1-0 Philadelphia. So first the no-hitter's gone. And now the first run of the game.
RBI number 114 for Ryan Howard, and another knuckleball, I guess, that just stayed up out over the plate.
First run of the game brought to you by the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 mpg at ChevyOffers.com. So 1-0 Phillies. Now here's Ibanez, who's 0 for 2. Line to center, bounce to second, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Dickey was perfect through 5. He walked Ruiz to start the 6th. Got a fine play by Evans in right field to get him through that 6th inning as that one scoots by Nickias, and down to second goes Howard. Then another fine play by Reyes and Satin to start the 7th before Victorino ruined the no-hit bid with a 1-out double. And then Howard brings him in. Wild pitch moves Howard to second. One and one to Ibanez, and he rolls one foul. Ronnie, what about recomposing yourself after the chance at history disappears?
You know, I can only go back to 92 when they took 2 into the 8th inning, and you give up the hit, and there's a letdown, a natural letdown that happens, and you got to try to shake it off. I was lucky in both of those games. I had a huge lead in both of them. I think one was 8-0, one was 6-0. So it was easier for me to go back to work. But you're stuck in this game with 1-0.
Well, there have been 3 no-hitters in the majors this year, all in the American League. Francisco Liriano, Justin Verlander, who came pretty close to a second one, and Irvin Santana. Line toward the middle, a base hit for Ibanez. Howard to third, he'll be held there as Pridey gets it in. So 3 straight hits now for the Phillies.
Well, nice hitting by Ibanez. That's hitting it right where it's pitched. And Howard really running gingerly on that heel. You can just tell he runs much better than that. He's still feeling a little pain.
Remember, he had the injection in the heel earlier this week. This is his first game since coming back, and then he made that sliding catch in foul territory earlier in this game. We wonder whether that had any impact on him. So first and third and one out with a run home, and now John Mayberry, who hit that foul ball that Satin caught in the fifth inning, struck out his first time up, and he pulls one foul past Howard. There are a lot of Philly fans in the crowd today, and they and the Met fans are shouting each other down.
I think one thing it tells you, though, about the choice, occupation, and pitch as Ruiz waits on deck for R.A. Dickey, that knuckleball can be so fleeting.
Capricious, he might say.
That's right. Better word.
Double play ball right at Reyes. Tejada with the turn. 6-4-3 to end the inning. So Dickey's no-hit bid flies away. The Phillies get a run on 3 hits. 7th inning stretch. 1-0 Phils. Coffee break. Remember to get dunked. Go to getdunked.com. Young lady very enthused about her day at the ballpark. Dan Warthen coming over to console R.A. Dickey after the no-hit bid disappeared. Now he finds himself behind in the game 1-0 after losing his last start 1-0.
Looks like the end of the game, huh? Not the beginning, or the middle, sorry.
Willie Harris leading off in the bottom of the 7th as the Mets try to respond against Cole Hamels. Harris has walked and taken a called third strike. He does not look like he's shaking this off very easily, Ron.
I'm telling you, you're sitting on the bench, Gary. You're going over every pitch you threw in that inning. What could I have done different? Boy, they racked on those hits quickly. Now they've given up a run. I lost last week 1-0. I mean, it's all hurtling through your brain.
And really, as Harris strikes out, 7 strikeouts now for Hamels. Really, isn't that the story of RA's season?
Yes.
That it's just been either the one mistake or the team not scoring for him or the bullpen messing it up. I mean, nothing has gone right for a guy who's pitched as well better than any other Mets starter this year.
You know, you hope that during the season, as Miguel Bautista gets up to warm up, you hope during the season that you kind of ham and egg it together. What I mean by that, Gary, is that when you are throwing great, I don't need a ton of runs, guys. I'll get it done. But when I struggle once in a while, that'd be a nice time to get a few runs. That's how you really piece together, unless you're having a Koufax year or one of the great year Verlander year this year. You need some of that help.
Now, if the Mets get a man on here in the 7th inning, Dickey's spot is going to come up. This is his last start of the year. It's a 1-0 game in the bottom of the 7th. Would any consideration be given to leaving him in? Or are you going to get him out of there, hope to get him a run, and say sayonara?
Well, I think with Bautista up, I think it's telling you that the Mets are going to go for the opportunity to try to score some runs. So,
Valentino Pascucci in the on-deck circle to bat for Pridey.
I know
strike 2 and 2 to Nicky.
Sorry, Gary. If I was pitching, what vote I'd want. We haven't scored any runs. Give me a shot to win the game. It's my last start.
Meanwhile, Hamill seems to be getting stronger as this game goes along. Had a little command issue early in the game. He's walked 3, but he's retired 5 in a row, striking out 3 of the 5.
Again, as Keith pointed out before, in this ballpark, 3-2. We got a little bit of a lead. Fastball away. Just hope they'll hit it to center field. That's a beautiful view. How vast the stadium is.
And Nicky hits it out to the big part of the ballpark. And Victorino over to get it. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside, and the Mets will take a shot with Valentino Pascucci to bat for Jason Pridey. Pridey got the start in center field for his defense, but the Mets need a long ball, and Pascucci, who has been an expert at hitting long balls in the minor leagues, will try and get it done.
Ruiz, attention to detail, out there to give the scouting report. Rich Doobie ×2 now. We'll go out and talk to Hamels. We see this a lot with today's game, and I think especially in September when you have the additional people on the roster, it's really impossible for a starting pitcher to go through the roster. The guys if you face a team many times, but guys like Pascucci or others, you won't know them, you won't go over them, you won't give them a second thought. So that's why Doobie and Ruiz are out there.
Pascucci has 2 career major league home runs. They both came in 2004. He has 234 career minor league home runs, including 21 this year at Buffalo. Most home runs he ever hit in a minor league season was 34. That was back in 2007 playing for Albuquerque. 32 years old and hoping to make one big splash. 1 for 7 as a Met. And Pascucci takes a rip at a fastball, 0-1.
First pitch, up and in. Ruiz called, so you would think that Doobie came out and said, hey, listen, he's got a little hole in his swing up and in, and then if you get up there, then you can go down and away with that changeup.
Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Ibanez to the track, at the wall. It's out of here! Valentino Pascucci with his first home run as a New York Met. A pinch hit home run to tie the game at 1. Seven years after his last major league home run, Pascucci has his 3rd, and it gets Dickey and the Mets back even.
Cole Hamels right there looking at the video replay. First one was up and in. Second one not in and down. And that's middle. And I think Pascucci, his goal when he goes to the plate, middle of the plate in, looking for a piece of cheese and try to turn on it, and he did.
Now Ronnie Polino batting for Dickey, who's now off the hook.
Well, you can see why he had 234. That is quite a powerful swing.
Polino grounds one to the backhand of Rollins, and he throws him out to end the inning. So Dickey is out after 7 innings. It'll be a no decision for him. But Cole Hamels gets Pascucci'd as Valentino hits his first home run as a Met to get him even. And Willie Harris, who started the game in right, then moved to left, has now moved to center. So he's made the full tour of the Citi Field outfield. Miguel Batista will come on to pitch in the 8th inning after 7 outstanding innings from R.A. Dickey.
Well, this will be his 5th relief appearance for the Mets. He's made 3 September starts.
And he is penciled in to pitch the final game of the season on Wednesday.
He's dominated right-handers so far, only batting 200 off him.
Well, Dickey went 7 innings through 101 pitches. Didn't allow a hit for the first 6 1/3. Winds up giving up 1 run and 3 hits. He walked 1 and struck out 4. Threw a wild pitch and leaves with a no decision. So Dickey will finish his year at 8-13. And his final ERA over 208 2/3 innings, 3.28. And that's something he should be very proud of.
Very proud of.
Carlos Ruiz will lead off.
12 straight quality starts. Just finished so strongly. Just didn't have enough support.
Here's Ruiz, who fouls it back. The 12 straight quality starts for Dickey. The longest stretch by a Met since Johan Santana finished the year with 14 straight in 2008. And now Dickey finishes this year with 12 in a row. Ruiz is 0 for 1, a comebacker, and then he became the first Philly base runner when he walked leading off the 6th. And Batista gets ahead, 0-2. Val Pascucci with the tying home run. Pascucci's previous major league home run was at Shea Stadium.
Oh.
The last series ever played by the Montreal Expos, Pascucci homered against Al Leiter, October the 2nd, 2004. And Ruiz pokes a base hit to right field to open the Phillies' 8th. Here's some of the Philly fans yelling "Chooch."
Chooch, that's his nickname.
Carlos Ruiz.
Boy, perfect pitch by Batista. Did not throw one ball in. So protecting against that pitch away. Ruiz goes to right field. Nice hitting.
Now Wilson Valdez, the number 8 hitter, is up, and for the moment Cole Hamels is on deck. So if you assume that Hamels is going to hit, then Valdez will not be bunting. However, just because Hamels is on deck doesn't mean he's going to bat.
I wouldn't agree with that. They might bunt and let Cole Hamels hit. That's how much confidence they have in him as a hitter.
Well, we'll have to find out. Valdez gets the bunt down. Batista makes the play to Satin, 1-3 on the sacrifice. And Hamels is going back to the dugout, and we'll get a pinch hitter. And it's going to be Hunter Pence. So Hunter Pence has been sitting out with a knee injury. Will come up to bat for Hamels with the go-ahead run at second base. Brad Lidge is up in the bullpen for the Phillies. By the way, Pascucci's pinch hit home run for the Mets. The Mets' 8th pinch hit home run this year. It's the most the Mets have had in a year since 1997. So here's Pence, who has sat out the last couple of games because of a balky knee. They expect him to start in the nightcap today. Pence, who came over from the Astros at the trading deadline, has been a godsend for the Phillies. He's hitting .323 with 9 home runs in less than 2 months. And it's taken low and away for ball 1. Ruiz at second with 1 out. And that just misses away. 2-0 to Pence. Cole Hamels out of the game. His only chance to win is if the Phillies can get him a run right here. Hamels went 7 innings, allowed a run on 4 hits through just 93 pitches. Walked 3, struck out 7, but gave up the home run to Pascucci to tie the game. And Pence lays off, and Batista behind 3-0 with Jimmy Rollins on deck. There's a strike, 3-1. If the Phillies were to get a run and Hamels got a win, It would be his 15th of the year. Halliday's already won, what, 18?
18.
And Lee has
16.
16. The last time the Phillies had 3 15-game winners in the same year was 1966. Chris Short, Jim Bunning, and Larry Jackson each had 15 or more. Here's a strike to Pence, who thought he might have had ball 4, but Hirschbeck called him back. 40-year-old erudite Miguel Batista.
Good pitch right there. Caught a lot of the plate and definitely over the knees.
Three-two to Pence. In there for a call, strike 3. Batista fell behind 3-0. Comes back to get Pence looking for the second out.
It's an interesting choice by Charlie Manuel, going with a guy who has not played, suffering from that tendonitis, and takes 2 balls right down the middle.
I don't know where Pence saw that ball.
Yeah.
Did he think it was low?
Maybe from just not playing. He just didn't see it.
So now Rollins, who's 0 for 3, hit the long fly ball to right, on which Evans made a stumbling catch his last time up. And he takes that one low for ball 1. Rollins now 0 for his last 16. Shane Victorino snapped an 0 for 20 stretch when he doubled against Dickey for the Phillies' first hit. And now the Mets are going to walk Rollins intentionally, which makes sense in a way, but is dangerous because you've got such a good contact hitter in Polanco on deck.
Contact hitter, and makes contact against the Mets. Almost invariably, it's an RBI.
He's got 14 RBIs against the Mets this season. Tim Burdack up in the Mets bullpen. Bobby Parnell has a baseball in his hand as well. You got the right hand batting Polanco up, then the switch hitting Victorino, followed by the left hand batting Howard. And here comes Terry Collins. It looks like he wants Parnell. So the Mets will make the pitching change here. Batista gets a couple of outs in the 8th. 2 out and 2 on, and looks like Parnell's coming in. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro PCS. Get the Huawei M835 Android smartphone for just $29. So Parnell will enter to face Polanco. 1-1 game in the 8th. We'll be right back. Last outing will pitch for the Mets.
And coming off, I think, his 2 best appearances of the season on Wednesday and Thursday. He is employed, as Kevin Burkhardt taught us, using a knuckleball now, and that has made him more effective, at least in the last 2 outings.
Placido Polanco 0 for 3, 2 out and 2 on, tie game 8th inning. And Polanco takes up and away for ball 1. Polanco last time up had a ground ball behind second, and Reyes made a nice play to throw him out. Limited chances with inherited runners. Parnell has not fared particularly well. He's got 2 aboard here. Ruiz and Rollins with 2 out. And a fastball strike at 98 miles an hour, 1-1. Each team has had only 4 hits this afternoon. The first end of a day-night doubleheader. Grounded down to first, and Satin behind the bag will take it himself to end the inning. So Parnell, using that knuckle curve, gets another big out. Keeps it tied going to the bottom of the 8th. Both teams trailing today. Rodrigo Lopez has shut out the Cardinals over the first 7 innings. Kyle Loesch going for St. Louis. Other games of little import tonight in the National League, with everybody at the tops of the divisions having clinched, including the Diamondbacks and the Brewers yesterday. The big games in the American League later on. Red Sox at the Yankees with John Lester against Freddie Garcia. Boston 2.5 up on Tampa Bay. The Rays got shut down by Brandon Morrow and the Blue Jays last night. That was big for Boston. And Ricky Romero for Toronto will face Tampa Bay and Jeff Neiman tonight.
Brad Lidge into pitch. The ERA is such because he has coming off 11 straight scoreless appearances, and that is going to mean a lot for Philadelphia bullpen if he comes back even 80% of what he was a few seasons ago.
They'll face the top of the Mets batting order in the bottom of the 8th. Jose Reyes 1 for 2 and a walk today. Right now at 330, 1 point ahead of Ryan Braun and 4 points ahead of Matt Kemp in the National League batting race. It'll be Reyes, Tejada, and Wright. Each team with a run on 4 hits. Mets got their run on a pinch hit home run by Valentino Pascucci with 2 out in the 7th. There's a strike to Reyes. And he tries to lay off that slider, and he did in time. Mike Estabrook with the call. A ball and a strike to Reyes. Jose 2 for 7 in his career against Lidge, whose career has gone through many permutations the last few years. Mostly from perfect to not.
Injuries haven't helped, of course. to his knee and also to his arm. But that season, their World Championship season, perfect.
Perfect in the regular season, perfect in the postseason. 1-2 to Reyes, and the breaking ball sits high, 2-2. So a fine duel today between Dickey and Hamels. They both wind up with a no decision. Dickey with the more intriguing of the two performances, going 6 1/3 before allowing a hit. Reyes got a hit leading off the first against Hamels. And Reyes hooks one foul down the right side. Still 2-2.
Anderson Cooper is now on Pix 11 with a fresh alternative to those tired old talk shows. Be sure to catch Anderson weekdays at 4, only on Pix 11. Two and two to Jose Reyes. And Jose lines one to center, but right at Victorino for the first out. So Reyes now 1 for 3 on the day.
Well, a hanging slider, one of the few that you'll get from Lidge, and hit it right on the button when you come to these last few days. It'll lead to frustration.
Reyes officially stays at 330, but he's now at 32950, and Braun at 32909. So he is still 0.4 of a point in front. This is not really 0.4. It's really
the other side.
4 10,000ths.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah. We've gone that extra place.
Tejada 0 for 2 in a sacrifice, and he swings and misses. 0-2. .223 career saves for Lidge. Ryan Madsen now serving as the closer for the Phillies. But their bullpen has kind of come apart over the last few weeks, and probably nobody more emblematic of that than Antonio Bastardo, who was unhittable early in the year, but now much less than that.
Yeah, he's come back to the pack.
Big stories in the Philly papers today about how Bastardo has been tipping his pitches, and they've been trying to cure him of that. Bounce down to third, a foul ball. So the question is, when Charlie Manuel gets to that big spot in a postseason game, how does he deploy his relievers?
You know, I talked about that in the beginning. You know, we always think about, and everyone talks about, what starters are they going to use? Not Philadelphia, all the playoff teams. Who is going to pitch 1, 2, 3, 4? You also have a chance to get your bullpen ready. And if you got a guy like Bastardo, who maybe has struggled with tipping its pitches, then every time he comes in, he can work on that when you've already won your division.
But the other question is, with the depth that the Phillies have in their starters, particularly again if Blanton comes back strong in the second game today, would you keep maybe Blanton and Worley and de-emphasize your bullpen a little bit?
Maybe. Well, or you could say to yourself, you know, we're not going to need anybody really. If we have one guy like a Blanton who can give us innings if someone falters, that's all we'll need. No, we're not going to have 2 or 3 guys falter.
Of course, they also have Kyle Kendrick.
That's right.
Who can do that. And I assume he's going to be on the postseason roster. But that's all for Charlie Manuel and Ruben Amaro to try and figure out. 3-2 to Tejada, and he hits one toward the middle, a base hit. So the Mets have their 5th hit of the game, and Tejada keeps his fine hitting going. 1 out and 1 on with David Wright coming up.
Well, this is the second hanging slider we've seen. First one to Reyes was hitting the line for an out, and just perfect timing, keeps his weight back. Not that lunging at the breaking ball we saw at times. Locked in right now is Ruben.
And he really has been locked in for 7 weeks since he came back from the minor leagues, hitting over .315 during that span. So now David Wright, who's walked, flied out, and struck out, hitless in his last 9 at bats, and he takes the slider off the plate for ball 1.
Well, in time, Gary, and I don't know if he's going to acquire the skills. I would think he would, just because of his instincts. This is where Tejada can get to a point where he can think of stealing a base. Lidge is so slow to the plate. And I know in the past you might think with David up, you might want to give him a chance to hit one out of the ballpark. You know, it's been a difficult thing for him here.
There goes Tejada. Wright takes a strike, and Tejada steals the base. That is a very important stolen base in the career of Ruben Tejada. I say that because Terry Collins has been talking about Tejada, even though he doesn't run particularly fast, being a guy who can steal bases when he gets the opportunity, and here he does it in a big point of the ball game.
A slow pitcher to the plate, you can get a big jump, and he did, timed it perfectly.
So now he's in scoring position with the go-ahead run. 5th stolen base of the year for Tejada. And, you know, stealing a base when it really helps the team is as important as the number of stolen bases you accumulate.
He could get 10 to 15 a year, and because of stealing that base, Wilson Valdez is holding them close, and maybe David can channel some older times and shoot that ball through the hole. Big hole between Valdez and Howard.
Now Lidge ahead 1-2, and Wright lays off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. David has just 1 hit in 9 career at-bats against Brad Lidge. The game in St. Louis has gone to the 9th. Cubs 1, Cardinals nothing. Meanwhile, the Nats still leading the Braves 4-1 in the 7th. Boy, has Washington played well. Swept a 4-game series from the Phillies this week. David tries to hold the swing, and he stopped it in time. Scott Barry with the call. They didn't play so well against the Braves last night. Did you see the rundown play?
Yeah.
When Bourne scored? That was a little ugly.
You know, the catcher went over to cover third, and then once Bourne got the third base, that was it. Race between him and the catcher. Bourne wins every time.
Well, the whole thing started when Zimmerman dropped the ball on the first rundown play, and then it all fell apart. Now Lidge with a 3-2 to right. Hit in the air, foul down the right field side. By the way, La Russa going to his bullpen today. Zepchinski and Mott. He's not backing down. Bouncing ball over the bag. That's a fair ball off the tarp. It'll bring home Tejada with the lead one. Wright goes to second base with an RBI double, and it's 2-1 New York. Tejada steals the base, comes home on the right double, and the Mets have their first lead of the day.
Well, nice hitting by David. Slider in the middle of the plate, gets on top of it and pulls it down that line from Polanco. And I think if Tejada hadn't stolen that base, he doesn't score because the ball deflected off the tarp, came back into play, and scores the go-ahead run.
So now the Mets have a lead to work with. Pascucci homered to tie the game in the 7th. Wright doubles to drive in his 59th run to give them the lead. Now Josh Satin looking for some insurance. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Satin is singled to right and flied to center, 1 for 2. He came on when Jason Bay had to leave the game because of a recurring illness.
David can be awake here on second base. Look for that slider in the dirt. He might be able to advance.
And Satin can't hold up. 0-2. The run belongs to Bobby Parnell, who got the final out in the 8th. Now Manny Acosta getting ready in the bullpen to try and save it for New York. The Phillies in danger of losing their 7th straight game. Last time they lost 7 in a row, 2006. That was a good year for the Mets.
Yeah, it was.
All the years since then have been good for the Phillies. They've clinched their 5th straight National League East title. Antonio Bastardo, who we were talking about earlier, up in the bullpen for the Phillies. There goes Wright. Satin strikes out. The throw to third, not in time. David Wright steals third base as Satin strikes out for the second out. 13th steal of the year for David Wright.
Well, there'll be a lot of scouts here watching Lidge pitch. And he's been effective with his breaking pitches. He's had a good fastball, but this is something that he has not ever been able to do, and that is control the running game.
Shades of what the Phillies did against Billy Wagner a few years ago. Just running at every opportunity. Nick Evans bounces one foul. Evans is 1 for 3, singled back in the fourth. Looking ahead to the ninth inning, the Phillies will have 3, 4, and 5 in their order coming up. Victorino, Howard, and Ibanez, who would certainly help the Met cause if Evans can get this insurance run home with 2 out. Two and 1 to Nick Evans. And he lays off that slider, and it's 3-1. Talking about the scouts paying attention, and scouts from every potential postseason team are here.
In our food room, there must have been 20 scouts every day.
Red Sox scouts, Diamondback scouts, everybody who might play in October is here. 3-2 to Evans.
I call it food room. It should be called commissary, cafeteria. Since we had the military guys, we could call it a gee dunk. Whatever you want to call it.
Mess hall.
Mess hall.
Now Lidge has gone to a full count on Evans. And he bounces one for Rollins. Nice easy hop. And that retires the side, but not before the Mets grab the lead. Tejada with a hit, steals the base, and then David Wright drives him in with the go-ahead run. David's 59th RBI gives the Mets a 2-1 lead going to the ninth at Citi Field. Citibank can help you write it. Final week of the season. Last Saturday home game. Keith's Grill has a little activity going. Remember, there's another game coming up tonight, so you got to keep that grill fired up.
That grill has been highly successful.
Beautiful overhead view of the Shea Bridge.
See what happens when you properly advertise?
By the way,
You have to have a good product.
Keith, it's nice to have you back from your sabbatical.
Well, Ronnie's not doing the night game, I understand, and you and I are doing the double dip. And Greg, our producer, was very kind as to give me a little. Told me to go take a little powder somewhere for a couple innings.
And do you want to share?
I went to the Acela Club, of course.
Oh, it's very nice.
I watched in there in the far corner where no one saw me.
Manny Acosta on to try to earn the save. Manny's gotten a win and a save in his last 2 outings. He was the winning pitcher Thursday when the Mets rallied for that 6-run ninth in St. Louis. Victorino leads off in the top of the ninth, 2-1 New York. Victorino put a dagger in R.A. Dickey's afternoon in the 7th inning.
Well, the first bad knuckleball he threw the whole game. And just right over the middle, belt high, stayed on a level plane, didn't move much, and there went another Met no-no.
7,963 games into the franchise's history and still waiting. Dickey had gone 6 1/3 without allowing a hit through the first 5 innings without allowing a base runner. Ryan Howard on deck, then Raul Ibanez here in the ninth. Acosta behind on Victorino, 2-0. And he grounds one toward the hole. Satin surrounds it and finds Acosta. Josh Satin, after coming into this game in the 4th inning, has made 3 good defensive plays.
Well, and a big out, too. Nice backhand, nice recovery, nice feed, and it gets Victorino off the bases, who is a stolen base threat.
Well, it was great. Acosta getting over with a lot of speed. And I thought with Satin, the one thing he liked about that, no panic. You know, he knew how much time he had.
Most of Josh's career, he's played second base, but they've never really been able to find a position for him. He's more a bat than a glove, but he's made 3 nice plays at first base today. Here's Ryan Howard, who's driven in the only Philly run. He hit one through the shift to drive in Victorino in the 7th inning. Howard now with 114 RBIs. That puts him 5 behind Triple Crown contender Matt Kemp for the league lead. Good changeup by Acosta, and it's 0-2. Raul Ibanez waiting on deck. In a bleak year for the Mets bullpen, Acosta has been a shining light. Second half of the year, he has all of a sudden come out of his shell and become a frontline relief pitcher. Does he have a chance to be a closer next year? Maybe not, but he certainly can be a very important piece in the Mets bullpen. One-two to Howard. Struck him out. Acosta gets Howard, 2 men down.
Well, good curveball here, and it stayed right on that outside corner. The change of speed of the pitch and the break of the pitch got Howard. You know, Gary, it'd be interesting. Soriano, that went over to the Yankees, he late in his career had an amazing save year for the Tampa Bay Rays. Maybe Acosta's channeling some of that.
So now the Phillies down to their final out. Here's Raul Ibanez, who's 1 for 3. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Well, he's got 3 quality pitches now, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Well, when they sent him down 2 seasons ago, he said work on that changeup, and he has. As Mayberry Jr.'s on deck.
I was shocked he didn't make the club this year. He had a good spring training. I've always liked his stuff.
Ibanez hooks one into right field for a base hit, and so the Phillies have life in the ninth. A 2-out single for Ibanez, and now the tying run at first with Mayberry coming up. And let's see, will the Phillies run for Ibanez? Yep, they're going to do just that. Pete Orr will come in to run for Ibanez. So Ibanez has 2 of the Phillies' 5 hits. Orr will run for him, carrying the tying run. So now Mayberry is 0 for 3 today, but has 15 home runs this year, a dangerous hitter. Ryan Madson hoping that this game will continue on up in the bullpen. And a fastball strike to Mayberry. Coming up next on SNY, you can flip it over there for Lincoln Postgame Live. Tomorrow's game right here on Picks will be at 2 o'clock. That's 1 hour later than originally scheduled because of the day-night doubleheader today. Our second game of the doubleheader will appear tonight on SNY. Hope you have all that straight now. 0-1 to Mayberry. And the breaking ball in for a strike. And Acosta ahead 0-2. Two to Mayberry. Check swing. No swing. Scott Berry with the call. 1-2. Well, Pascucci's home run tied the game. David Wright's RBI double in the 8th gave the Mets the lead. Acosta bidding for his 3rd save of the year. 1-2. Missed with the slider. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Mayberry showing some patience and a good eye at the plate. 2 nibble sliders behind 0-2 in the count.
Carlos Ruiz would be next. Or the tying run at first with 2 out. 2-2 to John Mayberry. And it's low, ball 3. So now Orr will be in motion. Acosta was ahead 0-2. Now he's gone full on Mayberry.
Just love it. All the fans are on their feet here for the final. Hopefully, Met fans, the final out. Love it.
Orr gets set to run. Acosta with a 3-2. Check swing, and he misses ball 4.
What an at-bat.
I'll say. For a young hitter, well, Mayberry's 28 years old, but his Major League experience is not there, and that is just 0-2 to drawing a walk. That's pretty impressive.
You know, when you're one of your hitters for a while, you think of him as being one of your big prospects. The light goes on. I think the light's gone on for Mayberry Jr.
So now, not Wilson Valdez, but Carlos Ruiz is up for Philadelphia. Ruiz 1 for 2 and a walk today. He is a terrific clutch hitter, hitting over 300 this year with runners in scoring position. Dan Warthen heads out to the mound to talk to Acosta, who retired the first 2 hitters but gave up the base hit to Ibanez, and then after getting ahead 0-2, walking Mayberry.
Keith, in the day, there was a time when you would come running in, and not the pitching coach, and say high ball hitter.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Yep.
On big situations like this, yes. Particularly with a new pitcher in the league that didn't know the hitters. And even if someone was a veteran, just a reminder. I was always very nosy.
Ruiz has had 5 at-bats against Acosta. 1 for 5. 2 out, 2 on, 2-1 New York, 9th inning. And Ruiz, first pitch swinging, fouls back the fastball.
Well, Ruiz was sitting on number 1 first pitch, and Acosta wisely went up out of the strike zone, up and in.
Now an 0-1. Ruiz again swings at the fastball and fouls it off. And for the second time, Acosta has the Phillies down to their final strike.
Well, 2 fastballs in, Ronnie. Tied him up. He's ahead.
Up. More importantly, up.
Yep.
0-2 to Carlos Ruiz. Foul back. 3 fastballs in a row, all of them up. So Acosta knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
Question, Ron. 3 straight fastballs, and he's aggressively swinging. You got to figure he's sitting on 1. Do you see that?
What I saw right there is that swing was better on that one than it was on the first 2. So you got to use a different speed here. So, too, you got all the time in the world. You have to bounce a breaking ball here.
And the breaking ball hit down the right field side, foul and out of play.
And that was a hanger staying inside, and Ruiz going the other way. So that means Ruiz is doing the right thing. He's protecting the plate. He's vulnerable inside.
Manny should just be telling himself, okay, I got away with a mistake. 0-2, breaking ball over the middle, although it was a good one. Bounce 1, just see if you can get a swing and strike. You got Nikias back there.
He's got that split finger he can drop in the dirt on him.
Again, the 0-2 to Ruiz. And he hits it in the air to center field. Willie Harris is there. And the ball game is over. The Mets hand the Phillies their 7th straight loss on a day when R.A. Dickey took a no-hit bid into the 7th. The Mets rally late. Home run by Valentino Pascucci to tie it. David Wright, the RBI double to put the Mets in front. Acosta finishes it off with the save, and the Mets win 2-1.
Well, you know, this Met team, it's just so ironic. They fall behind 1-0 after 6 goose eggs, and then they come right back. The pinch hit home run, nice move by Terry Collins, pushing the right button there, pinch hitting for Pridey. The rookie who does a great job. It's a home run. Mets come back, gets another run in the 8th inning. It's a team that doesn't quit. They got nothing. They are loosey-goosey, and the Phillies are now lost 7 in a row. But give this Met team, credit. They haven't quit.
2 comebacks in a row now, consecutive comebacks, and even more importantly, I think a big out in this game. 2 outs, Parnell comes in and gets a key out and the win for the Mets.
All right, Dickey's final start of the year. He pitched brilliantly, but winds up with a no decision. There's your game summary. Bobby Parnell gets the win in relief. The Mets beat Brad Lidge as they get a run in the 7th and a run in the 8th to win it. Subway presents today's Winners Box Score. Subway, where winners eat. And Valentino Pascucci, with his first major league home run in 7 years, makes it count. A game-tying blow against Cole Hamels in the 7th. And then David Wright with the go-ahead double after Ruben Tejada stole a key base in the 8th inning. Mets win it 2-1 in the first half of a day-night doubleheader. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.